Let me out.
This stream is sponsored by Woke. Big g'day and a big shout out to everyone out there. Hope you're doing alright.
We are, I think, quite urgently in need of coming to feel that we are the eternal universe, each one of us.
Woohoo! Right, so I'm talking with my uncle John Graham, who has done some amazing work in the education field and also in the spiritual field, as well as the study of history. And we're speaking to him live now from in Mexico at the moment. How are you, John?
I'm very well, and thank you for the call, Jim.
And
Limbo, yeah, and this is part of your Across the Board program.
that's right. Do a mix of just honest humour that leads to good sincereness is the gist of Across the Board, really. G'day. Hello. Yeah, what are your thoughts on possibly for the future with education allowing more room for new ideas and new ways of teaching?
Making contact with the idea of teaching how to learn, the idea of teaching how to learn, and allowing students to exercise their imaginations and their dreams to adjust the content of the courses that they're given to their needs and interests rather than have the needs and interests of the education system imposed on them.
And everyone's trying their best in their own way.
So it's reversing the balance that usually exists in education systems, especially in higher education, so-called higher education. Are you a professor in higher education? My goodness, therefore, you must be an expert. But Australians understand that if you're an expert, then that means you can't do it anymore.
G'day. Oh, he's joined us. Yay.
Well, it's lovely to hear your voice and that we are all connected, but we need each other more than ever.
Yes. I'd like to switch the conversation to phones. Do you use a touch phone much, John?
I don't touch the phone.
Good on you.
I don't.
But it's in my biased opinion that when it comes to using touch phones, I don't think anyone should use the touch phone for a maximum of an hour per day. Even that, I'd probably recommend more half an hour.
Why is that? What's your reason?
I'm glad you asked, John. Well, mainly because I'm slightly biased because I am a PC man, meaning when I want to use the internet, I use a PC. And I think when it comes to using the internet, it's much better doing it in your own private space. I don't think you should be taking the internet around in public, showing it around in people's faces. But at the same time, I can totally understand how good it is to have your own personal computer constantly in your face. And because of that and them calling it a phone, of course, someone that rings you up, if they're not entertaining within like 10, 15 seconds or drawing your attention, you're just going to be looking at this device that can give you so much entertainment, and you're just going, well, I'd rather text. Bye. That's wrong. Well, this is what I do. No, this is what I do, John. Touch phones are excellent for taking photographs, taking some movies, listening to music. Excellent for those things. I recommend people use their touch phones for that. When it comes to actually ringing people and talking, I recommend people get a cheap prepaid plastic piece, a little prepaid phone that they can drop on the ground, they can leave at any venue, and people are going to go, well, that's not even worth taking. And it is possible for us to evolve more with the planet, with the universe. When it comes to thought, just affecting things like water, let alone foods and other things, that simple little thoughts to me can lightly affect, and I'm just talking very, very lightly on a almost a chemical, scientific level.
This is science that you're talking about, and it's true too.
There is
sound that affects the structure of the water. Yeah.
And ever since water has been put in plastic bottles, I've just thought of this concept of what is the chemical conversation happening between the water and the plastic.
It's one-sided.
It tastes a bit one-sided, yes, I do agree.
It's a one-sided conversation. I mean, the water wants to speak and the plastic stops it, doesn't it?
Yes and no. To me, the plastic, well, I mean, all you have to do is put plastic in water and just let it heat up for a bit, and the chemical reactions in the water, you can taste it. You can taste the plastic. You can taste. It's the same with soft drinks. You can taste the difference between plastic and a can, and
So you recommend aluminium rather than plastic?
Well, I'd probably recommend clay over all that, but I mean, you can't really commercially put that out. I definitely recommend glass over plastic.
Well, I think we could take a vote across the board, and I think most of the hands would go up, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, there's plenty of sand out there, so.
That's a joke, is it?
No, that's well, you could see it as a joke and a truth. I'm very serious about my jokes, so.
Well, it's a joke in the sense that it leads on. If you start talking about sand, then we're more or less on the beach. We're off the board and on the beach.
Yes, and then you pick up one of those bits of sand, and you could say the Buddhist little saying of, there's a universe in every grain of sand.
Yeah, there you are. You see, you're with the Dalai Lama and all the enlightened people, and everything's connected. You find this, yes, this is what they say. The world's in a grain of sand.
You, myself, every single human being on the planet has as much right to be on the planet as an ant. So via that concept, the hunters and gatherers of a lot of Native American tribes, and a lot of different tribes all around the world, not just Native American, had that concept that they have as much right to be on the planet as an ant. And via that concept myself, it's a nice way of summing up that every living thing has a right to be there.
Yeah, but yes. Why is that true? Do you want to continue the conversation?
Oh well, just scientifically, if you get a grain of sand and then you get a microscope and look in there, there's a lot in there. And then the further you go, the more there is.
I think there is a lot in there, but there's not as much as there is inside the human body.
Oh, yes, there is an amazing amount of things going on, especially in people's brain areas, but all over the body. You are right.
Well, yes, it's true that the language we use affects our biochemistry. And one of the things that people often don't realise is the first person who hears what they say is the person speaking. So the words that you use when you get angry with somebody, for example, you bloody idiot, that
Yep.
sort of thing. The first person to hear that is your own body. So if people realise that, they'll be realising that they're exercising self-abuse.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've been lightly guilty of that myself, internalising certain things. My partner, Leanne, made a lovely comment of, I like to under-worry.
You over-worry, just not about your health. You over-worry about everything else.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm glad to tell you, John, I'm realising it and on the way to fixing it.
There you go, brother. That's the way to do it. You spiral on that way, and that's a very good idea. Take good care of your feet.
Oh, yes.
Be aware of what you eat.
Yep, definitely. Never too late to realise that everything is changing.
In order to hear what it is that you say
Mm.
and make adjustments to it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. I mean, you listen to the words that you use and say, guilty. Now, why am I saying guilty so much? What's guilt got to do with me at the moment? And the stomach thing. I mean, who punched you in the stomach?
A big kid when I was younger.
Yeah, well, the big ones usually do that to the little ones, and you were a pretty little person,
Yeah,
weren't you?
I just wasn't prepared for it, and he got me so badly in the stomach that I just couldn't breathe for about almost 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, get rid of that memory. I mean, dissolve that one. So thanks so much for teaching me about why I need now to breathe deeply through my nose into my diaphragm so that I can let my voice come out in a clear and certain fashion where I don't feel guilty or anymore to speak with people, and I'm sharing what I feel, and I'm inviting everybody else to do the same thing on my program across the board. Jimbo.
Oh, you're a champion there, John. So good to hear your voice. Woohoo!
I wonder if it's ever struck you how curious a thing it is that most of the things that we experience, we regard as things that happen to us, which we ourselves do not originate, which are events expressing some sort of power or activity that is external to ourselves. And if you consider that, you realize that what you mean by yourself is rather narrowly circumscribed. Even events that go on in our own bodies are put in the category of things that happen to us in the same way as things that go on in the world outside our skins. If there's a thunderstorm or an earthquake, well, it happens to you. You're not responsible for it. But so in the same way, when you have hiccups, you didn't plan on it. If you have belly rumbles, you had no intention of doing it. And as to the catastrophic act of getting born, well, you had nothing to do with that. And you can spend all your life blaming your parents for putting you in the situation in which you find yourself. And this way of looking at the world in this sort of passive mood as something that happens to you goes right down to our general feeling about life. It goes down to the way in which we have been accustomed to look at human existence as a precarious event in a cosmos.
And there's a lot of people out there at the moment I can sense having very, some troubled times. I'd like to send good vibes and all that, but instead I'll just send these words through the cosmos, which is just the words be and do.